Hey guys.
Perfect.
Welcome to episode 96 of the Drunken Ship Podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the way we literally went into
when you went into Discord.
Yeah, like literally I can still, because we did it so many times.
Yeah.
That it's almost like I just reach in. I turn my brain off and just turn it. It's like an audio play, and it's just like, hey guys, welcome back to the Drunken Ship Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Crockett.
I remember when you were Captain Crockett.
I've changed my name so many times.
Yeah.
I'm very elusive.
Yeah, you are. Little Sasquatch ass.
Very elusive.
Cool. Anyway, guys, welcome to the Drunken Ship Podcast. This is episode 96. I'm Bryan and this is
Cyber Calamity, aka Captain Crockett, aka just Jordan.
Okay, just Jordan.
Or people just know me as a lot of people just know me as Crockett.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't call me Jordan. They just like Crockett.
When people call you Jordan, it messes me up. I have no idea who you are.
People only call me Jordan when they've known me since like the first days of that's it. That's like the only, you had to have been there from like the beginning of time.
That's so funny. Today we're talking about a couple of things today. We're talking about like gear, just the gear for the shit that we do on our everyday, or like the hobbies that we do. And then we're also talking about some of the recent like decisions by Marvel and Instagram and like the VFX scandal that we have.
A lot of this is going to be a very techie podcast today. So if you're a filmmaker or you're into general like technology or anything like that, computers,
this is it.
Or if you're into like content creating, this one's going to be for you.
Let's start with the Marvel stuff. I feel like the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Let's lead with the most interesting thing that's been happening.
Get them raking them views. Spike.
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 But before that, theme song.
Nice. We hit that. We hit a nice little at the top.
So the news with Marvel recently is so we watched Love and Thunder. That was like the last Marvel movie that came out.
Yeah.
Phase 4 is officially over, I guess.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what Twitter has been saying. Phase 4 is over, so now we're moving on to Phase 5.
I have no idea. Like, I thought I don't know. I didn't know we were into Phase 4.
Yeah. So the leading into Secret Wars, of course. That's like the big decision that they're making. They're moving into the cosmic bullshit. So Phase 4 was like 4 movies? Really? How many movies were there?
Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Thor.
Like 3 movies.
Eternals. Black Widow, but Black Widow I don't think was in Phase 4.
No, Black Widow was definitely like an outstander.
Well, that movie was supposed to come out a long time ago, and then the pandemic hit, and then they delayed it for like 3 years.
That makes sense.
We like side note here, but we got like 4. We got like there was like 20 movies that we got that was supposed to come out. Like, like Maverick, Top Gun Maverick was supposed to come out like 2 years ago, and they just had it sitting on a shelf somewhere.
We're editing. They couldn't pay people to edit it. But yeah, so Phase 4 is officially done. I think we got Eternals, we got the Black Widow, we got fucking Thor, Doctor Strange, and the last Spider-Man film. No Way Home, right? I think that's what we got. That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds about enough.
I'm not gonna fact check that. Who gives a shit? But the reason we're talking about Marvel is because it came out during the production of Love and Thunder. There was like something that we all knew was happening, but I guess we didn't know that it was happening from Marvel. It comes from like the game development where like the employees are getting overworked and underpaid. So in game development, this happens a lot. We call it crunching. I'm not in the fucking industry, but people call it crunching.
Well, not just the game, but just movie work. If you work in
VFX in general.
Yeah. If you work anything where you're loading frames or anything like that, if you have to render anything out, there's crunch. There's going to be crunch. A lot of people, I think there's just a lot of misconception on how long this stuff actually takes to render.
Yeah, that's true.
And just a preference, some of the background, I was a 3D animator. So animation too, like hand-drawn animation, 3D animation.
Anything where you're like making media, but it's not like, you're not like shooting it.
Yeah,
it just takes time. It just takes a shit ton of time.
Well, dude, I mean, I made a house and I had to make a like 30-second clip of a light cycle of the sun going around it and just to go from day to night cycle. Yeah. Dude, it took I think 3 or 4 days to render out.
Yeah,
it takes like a billion frames to render because this thing has to. So when you edit something, you're editing it in the lowest res possible. It looks like dog dookie on the screen,
garbage.
Just so you can scrub through it, so you can see what you're working on while you're moving, because you're just working in real time.
Yeah.
And this is like 8 seconds. It's not even like a long time, and you're just scrubbing through, and you're fixing each frame. You're making sure this is right. And God forbid if you fuck up, and then you render it out, and it takes like a whole day to render.
Yeah.
And then you have to go back and then fix something.
Yeah.
Which that's also a part of the process, but just 30 seconds, and then you hit render, and then it's gone. It has to go back in there and then put every single frame,
especially
24 frames a second.
Yep.
You have to put that has to go into high res. So each second is like taking like maybe an hour to create, or 2 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I mean each frame takes like rough, depending on the power of your PC and everything like that. But the moment that you start adding light simulation, you start adding like this really complicated comms, like one frame can easily take fucking an hour or two.
Yeah.
Depending on how extensive your simulation is.
And that's just hitting start. And then you wait 3 days, and then it comes back, and then you show it to your boss, and they're like, I need you to fix this and this and this. And you're like, okay, you go back in there, make the changes. It's another 3 days. This is why this is what creates crunch, because now they have a deadline. There's deadlines to hit. There's sale marketing. There's all this stuff.
Because nothing ever works. Like you don't make a movie and then you just go like, all right, you just finish the movie.
It's never
when
done.
It's
No.
When you finish the movie, we do the marketing or stuff like that. It's like, they shot the movie. They want the movie done in a year. And then you have to.
So how long? So explain to me, like, how long does it actually take to shoot a movie, and then how long does it take to actually edit that movie?
So that is very conditional on the movie itself. It always is, but typically when you're doing like a big budget, something like Marvel, like a Marvel movie, you're probably shooting for a month or two. Pretty much every single day. So you shoot for a month or two. And then like the really tedious part about shooting, the thing that adds a lot of the shooting time is like when you're doing something that's like really VFX heavy, like a Marvel movie, you have to shoot the action, you have to shoot the clean plates, you have to shoot the green screen plates, you have to shoot so many assets for you to be able to finish that scene that like you can easily spend like 2 to 3 days in like a single scene. Depending on how big the scene is.
And then how many scenes are typically in a movie?
Typically a movie is, now they're getting a little bit longer to an hour, like 2 hours and a half. But typically, you get 90 pages of a movie. That's like the standard an hour and a half script. And it's like 1 minute a page. So by the time that you're getting into the shooting and you're blocking out all the action and stuff like that, you can easily spend 4 or 5 hours
on
per scene on a single day. And let's say that you have to get, and so it's all schedule based, right? So like you go into a film set and then someone goes like, okay, we need to get the dining room scene today, and then we need to get the fight in the bathroom, and we need to get the dialogue scene after the bathroom. So that's 3 scenes, right? But then scene 1 is probably going to have, depending on how many characters there are, you have 2 eye lines. If you have 4 characters, you have 4 eye lines, which means that now you have to get coverage for each character. Yeah,
you have to shoot different sides of the camera. Different sides
of the angle. Then you have to get reverse shot for each character. So depending on who's speaking, that character speaking, so you have to the coverage of him speaking. And then you have to get the coverage of all the other 3 characters speaking.
And these are all files. These are all like shots and cameras that someone has to go back. So say 4 scenes. Okay, 4 camera shots for one scene. There's like how many scenes? Like 100 scenes?
There's like in a movie, roughly there can be anywhere from like 60 to 80 scenes.
Let's say 100 scenes. Yeah. So 400 scenes of like different camera angles.
400 shots, yeah.
Yeah, 400 shots of the camera. That then someone has to go in and then edit all of those.
Then synchronize it and then ingest the footage. Because the footage is shot, if you're talking about like a big budget movie, you're shooting on Arri Alexa cameras. Right, and unless you have like a big powerful system, there's no way you're playing that raw on the computer. There's no way. So at the end of the day, there's actually a guy that takes all the media that they've recorded and then he plugs it into a computer and then he turns it into low resolution proxies, and that takes like the whole fucking night. And then that guy delivers the main raw media and the low resolution proxy media to
the low res
to
is
an
like
editor.
just a
It's a preview. It's like the same thing that you do for rendering. When you like look at it in low resolution,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's just so that your computer can run it. Someone can preview the dailies. So dailies are, you can review the shots that you did for the entire day.
dailies and monthlies.
So like in like a typical shooting setup, when you're like in a big studio thing, you shoot for 8 hours, and then when you swap out a card, there's a digital imaging specialist that takes that card and then immediately starts uploading it into like a mobile server.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gets backed up in like 5 different places.
Yeah, which also another little topic here is just losing, crashing. Crashing is a big word in VFX.
The VFX community, yeah.
Because there'll be some times where you're just working on a scene and then you spent maybe an hour on it, and you're making some good headway in it, and then the machine just a little box just pops up in the middle of your screen. And then everything behind that box goes gray.
Yep.
And then it says so-and-so has crashed.
And then you consider genuinely killing yourself.
And then you click OK, you hit OK, and then everything just goes away.
Yeah.
And then you better hope that it just saved or auto-saved. You also hear this is save periodically.
Yeah.
Save anytime you make a sudden movement, you got to save 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Control S. I actually have my Premiere to save every 2 minutes.
Yes.
It's like every 2 minutes.
And then even in 2 minutes, you're like, that was a lot of freaking work.
Yeah. No, it's awful. So that being said, like the filmmaking process is annoying. It is annoying. It is tedious. It is...
But just the beginning of this mountain of shit.
So now you've gone through all of the tens of hours of shooting, organizing, editing footage, shooting plates, organizing the plates, doing all of that bullshit. And then that takes 6 months to do, right?
Yeah.
You've shot, you've ingested, you've organized, you've got a production schedule, right? And then you had like a year to pre-produce, 6 months to shoot. And then the editors get maybe 3 months.
3, yeah. They get all that time, and then the editors get 3 months, which it is a gigantic beast.
Yeah.
For like movies now, they're almost all green screen. They're so
there is
VFX
some element of
heavy.
CGI.
Any action film that you see is like 90%, 80% VFX.
Like every shot you may have, so let's say there's like 4,000 shots in a film, and like a typical action film, anywhere from 1,000 to anywhere from like 2,000 to like 3,000 shots of those has some form of VFX enhancement in it. Whether it can be as simple as a sky replacement, but there's just a lot of VFX in movies.
Yeah.
Whether it's like CGI enhancement, would you like move something from someone's face, or something as complicated as like compositing an explosion with like realistic debris and shit like that. All of those count as VFX shot, but like the editors get 3 months, right?
Yeah.
So that essentially means you get a month and a half to like composite everything.
Yeah.
And then you present that to whoever is running the production, whoever is the director, like the VFX director. And then they go like, actually the Marvel wants this, and that changes. So by that point in the production schedule, you have a month and a half to do all of those changes.
Yeah.
And some of those changes are straight redos of the shots.
Yeah.
So by the time that you are 3 weeks into the production, now you're crunching. You're spending 12, 18-hour days.
Well, this is how, so then all right. When we watched Love and Thunder, when we were sitting there on the credits, I counted how many studios, how many VFX studios.
It's like fucking 10 of them.
These are studios, by the way. These are probably a group of 100 people.
Yeah.
That's a studio, right? There may have been 20 or 30 VFX studios.
Yeah.
So what happens is they shoot the movie, right? They can't just give it to one studio. It's that large. It would take probably 2 years for one studio to do a whole movie like that.
Yeah, it would be unsustainable. You have to split up the whole production into like 20 different studios.
So they take scenes, they take like chunks of scenes, they send it off to a studio because Marvel doesn't have an in-house studio.
Which blows my mind. I feel like they would invest in one already.
I don't think they could afford it. I think they would have to have something. Expensive. They couldn't have. They would have to have a studio so big because they're shooting so many movies at once that like there's no fucking possible way they could have. It would be like 4,000 people in a building, and then they would have to have some type of ultra server room. There'd be a power surge. There'd be like they would have to talk to city ordinance to get power to that room, and then there would have to be some kind of heavy ventilation system to cool off that server room. Like it would be insane. So what they have to do, they have to break it down to 20 studios, 30 studios, take bits and pieces of scenes that they need worked on, and they send them out to those studios. And
not to mention that some of those studios are doing just the water. Some of those studios are doing just the sky replacement. Yeah. Some of the studios are doing like just the lighting. Like it's
some people are just doing plates. Like Evans, one of our teachers in college, he worked on like
tracked the plates.
He just tracked plates, and tracking plates is just making the camera move in the scene. Yeah, that's it. That's like it goes. There are so many layers
to making even the simplest Marvel movie. Has so many fucking layers attached to it.
And we're talking about Marvel a lot because this is all studios, by the way. This is all of them. But Marvel is such a juggernaut, and they're so, I think, because they're really at the top of the food chain with a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, and also like Marvel, I mentioned Marvel a lot doing this kind of content because they're really the only studio right now that can afford to make these big blowout.
They're the only studio making the same movie like that.
Yeah, the same caliber of movie.
They're having 4 or 5 movies come out a year. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy. But the reason why we're mainly talking about Marvel is because they treat their VFX artists and the studios that they hire like absolute dog shit.
And I don't want to say that it's not just Marvel, but Marvel is such a titan on this, but that's why we're going to bring it up now. But
and Marvel is definitely the biggest culprit recently.
Yeah.
Because they have so many movies on the slate.
Yeah.
But this is culturally the same in the field of like filmmaking and game development and like 3D compositing.
Yeah, so everything we just explained now, that is happening to any game that you're playing. That 100% happens most of the time. Crunch has been a big topic among games for the last at least 10 years.
And like more so recently in the last like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It's been really pervasive.
A lot of people have been reporting on it. Cyberpunk, there was a lot of crunch. Sometimes crunch can be handled poorly.
Yeah.
I think EA has been known for the worst type of crunching because there was an organization founded by the studio, it was called Wives Against I think it was Wives Against EA or something like that. But it was a group of women, because their husbands worked at EA. Yeah. They got together because they were never seeing their spouse come home. Yeah. I think it was Spouses Against EA or something like that. But it was just they would never get to see them, and they would be working on something because their crunch was just ridiculous.
Yeah, they were working easily 20-hour days.
80-hour work weeks,
and
70 day or 7 days a week. Really,
it's not uncommon to see, and then in the film industry also came in hot fire with this because people were dying from car accidents because they worked an 18-hour day and then they had to drive back to their places.
There's actually laws now. Yeah. I know at my job,
that was the first union thing that we in the film industry. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but the film industry they put safeguards in place for that.
Yeah, because you can work yourself to exhaustion. Mm-hmm. These people are probably sleeping at work and stuff.
Yeah, they are.
So
but it's crazy. But the reason why this came to sort of hot air or hot water recently was because Taika Waititi did one of those analyze the frames on your movie videos.
Yeah, like Vanity Fair or something.
Vanity Fair. Yeah. It was Vanity Fair, and he did that video. And typically, I love those videos, but Taika came off as really arrogant and saying that the compositing and the VFX for Korg and that one scene in the Olympus was it didn't look realistic, and he didn't like the way that it looked.
I didn't watch the full video for that, but I did see Tessa Thompson saying because there was what's his character in that movie? Cork. Yeah. Or Gork or whatever it is. She was saying oh look the lighting was off on him and stuff, and then they just started kind of ripping into it.
Yeah, and so that Twitter thread, somebody clipped that, and that Twitter thread came in, and it was either somebody that worked as a 3D artist or somebody that was in somehow tangentially related to being a 3D artist.
Which it could be to have like a Twitter.
When
it's 30 studios.
So yeah, when there's like a 600.
I mean, there's probably 6,000 people working.
And so like they started tweeting about it, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, no, you're ripping on these VFX artists who are constantly underpaid and overworked." And then that tweet came out, and then like people that have worked for other studios in association to Marvel that have been booked by Marvel say that Marvel is easily the worst client that they ever work with.
Yeah, because they're so demanding.
They're so demanding, and they don't pay what they're supposed to be paying. Like you don't get for a job what you're supposed to be getting for a job.
Can I also say that like the amount of work that you do in VFX, it is the amount of work versus what you're going to get paid is never
enough.
Never enough. No.
And I'm not like this may sound like woe is me. Like you get to make movies and you're complaining, dude. We spend like 13 hours like planning shooting a day for like 6 months at a time.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry, we want a bag.
There is an extreme amount of work, and then also patience, and then it's because. I preference this because I don't think a lot of people, I think now we're kind of getting there where people can kind of understand how much work goes into this. But for a long time, people did not understand stuff like this.
No.
Like animation's a big one because animation, it takes forever to animate something. And people think when they come in with like, so say someone came to me and they're like, hey, can I have this like this building blowing up or something? I'll give you like $500 and I need it in a week or something.
Yeah.
Or I need it in like 2 days. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, it's going to be like $1,000 because like that's going to take me to model it and to
track the camera,
track it, do all that stuff. I mean, it's going to be, twice that. And they're like, and there's also what's called bidding.
Yeah.
So so it's not Marvel directly going to these studios and asking them to make these things. Studios actually have to bid over each other. So what that happens is Marvel's like, hey, we need the scene. We'll pay $6,000 for this scene.
Yeah, actually, what happens a lot is because the bidding process is they say, hey, we got this project. And every company submits a budget and submits a timeline.
And then cheapest budget wins.
And then typically the cheapest budget wins and the cheapest turnaround also wins.
Yeah.
So if you're a studio that's trying to get work and your studio that's trying to get notice in the industry, you're going to bid the cheapest and you're going to do it in the quickest amount of time. And sometimes that means that your fucking staff spends 80 hours or 90 hours on the floor.
Yeah.
So like the bidding process is a big part of it too, just because like the cheapest budget will always win because they want to save the most money.
So is it really like Marvel's fault or is it the studio's fault?
It's the industry's fault. So it's
like the culture that they've it's kind of that, and then that's where like kind of like the pay also comes back into it is like just how undervalued it is. But now we're coming to a head where there's so much VFX in movies and stuff that these people are gonna have to be really like kind of compensated. I mean, the studios are going to have to because people are not going to, put up. I mean, how long can people withstand this?
It's not sustainable, but the problem is
same thing with gaming industry too.
Yeah. And this is like the biggest problem is like if let's say like American studios are not willing to take on that amount of crunch, they're just going to outsource it to India or China where they can.
And I think half of the studios that Marvel sent
were Vietnamese and Chinese.
A lot of Chinese companies.
They're in the Eastern market, and that's because and I don't know about Vietnam or anything like that, but I know that in India, you can get a VFX artist to do a similar amount of work for like a fraction of the cost.
If you've seen Family Guy ever, so what happens with what happens with like animation like that or The Simpsons or anything? So the main studio sets up what's called keyframes. So keyframes are the main points in the scene. So where they animate the main keyframes of where they're post up. Mm-hmm. So that's like the big moments, like his arms are here and his arms are here.
Right. They're like the poses. They're like the 1, 2, 3, 4 poses.
So, and then in hand animation like that, what you have to do is you have to animate his hands going from here, 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 and I'm sorry if you're listening to this on podcast, but I'm just slightly making a motion in my hands. So say like I'm moving my hands in a circle.
Yeah.
If they do like a circle movement like that, they have to animate. The key points are the top, middle, bottom, and then the other middle. The in-betweens are his hands going around in that from the top to the middle, and then the middle to the bottom. You have to hand animate all those. So what happens is they send those animations, those in-betweens, all that work gets outsourced to China and Vietnam and all of those places.
China, Korea, Vietnam, India.
And then it's been like that for years because it takes because they'll turn it around. They'll turn around and they're really quick at it.
Yeah. So I think we talk about Marvel, and I have a lot of gripes to fit around Marvel. But I think when you get to the level of production that Marvel is doing when you're releasing 5 movies a year, it is inevitable that the industry is going to shift to accommodate that type of production because they make $100 million every time they put out a new movie.
They print money.
Yeah, they print money. So, and then right now, if you're a studio and you're like, oh yeah, I got to work on Marvel.
Yeah, that's a big thing to put on your resume.
It's a big thing to put on your resume.
I worked on Thor.
So people are more willing to take the lower paying job for the status of working with the company, and then for just to be able to say they worked on Marvel, and then just to facilitate that level of production because they're so big. But culturally in the industry, there's not an appreciation for the people that are doing the work. It's always
the legwork of it.
The legwork. It's an appreciation for the people that are doing the above. We call it below the line and above the line in production. So above the line is like director, all of the people that are making the creative decisions, and then below the line are the people that are making it happen. That would be your camera guy, your first assistant operator, your sound mixer, stuff like that. And they make that distinction because these are kind of like the peons. They're not doing creative decision. They're just putting the work in to capture what you need. So in VFX, I don't know if they go by this nomenclature. When you go above the line on something, these are people making the creative direction. And then you go below the line, and these are the people doing the compositing, doing the simulations, doing all of that stuff. The people on top here often don't understand, or the executives often don't understand the amount of work that goes below the line.
Yeah.
Because they've often never done it, or they're so far removed from it. And so and I would count the director of VFX a lot of times below the line because they're following a board or an executive list of decisions that they need to do that. So
this is definitely one of those things where you want your boss to be it's anyone in charge of you when you're in something like that. You definitely want someone that's worked from the bottom and went to the top, because you just want them to understand the amount of work, and then where you can, if you skim lines or something like that, they could direct you in that way. You definitely don't want someone that does not understand something that's in charge of you doing that, because you're going to get just a gray mess.
And it's also a bunch of unrealistic expectations at that point. You just will not be able to work in a way that is conducive to doing the amount of work that you need to do, because they don't understand the process. So when they don't understand the process, you get really shagged with doing a work that would take 3 days, doing it in 1.5.
That's a lot of thing about freelancing that people don't understand, is because you're directly working with someone that just needs something. And they directly don't understand how long that something will take you. Yeah. And then the price for it too.
And then the big problem is that there's always some little fella that's going to take the job and do it for cheaper. And they're probably not going to do it as best as you. Yeah. But they're going to do it. And so the cheapest person in the freelancing market drives the price. Really. Unless, the production company understands you're spending $20,000 on this project. That's because the project needs $20,000. And that's kind of rare. But I think that, and we bring Marvel because Marvel was the one that was in the news for this recently. But this is across culture, and any of the people that make any art. The reason Stray was delayed so much, or it took so long to make, is because they were avoiding crunch time. They were treating their employees a lot better than all of these other companies. So it's just, sorry, I'm just going to be ready.
Which is good, because kind of that culture is a little bit changing. It's just let it. And I think a lot of people now, they're when they see a game delay, they're take your time, make it as good as possible. It's okay if we wait and stuff.
And don't fucking.
But I think
destroy your employees.
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff stems from. You announce a game, so I'm going to take games first. Yeah. So you announce a game, you give it a date.
Yep.
So that date is now a deadline. So that date, the game needs to be done a month before that date.
So you can clean up.
So now you have someone come in and be like, okay, this needs to be done by this week. This needs to be done by this week, and then if we get down, we'll be there. And then that's what kind of creates crunch.
Yeah, because you just need to meet that deadline.
Yeah.
You just need to meet it for the game to be done. Because a lot of those tasks are like, or for the movie to be done, a lot of those tasks are depending on the other tasks that came before it.
Yeah.
So you can like not move on until that is done.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that is exactly what generates crunch. Is the ability, someone sets a date, a marketing department sets a date. It's like, oh yeah, we're releasing God of War in November. And then you're like, well, God of War isn't done.
Yeah. This is like where it kind of gets so.
And I say God of War as an example. It's fine. I trust them. But just as an example.
But here's the issue is like they set the date before. They should not be setting dates. No. And I get it because the marketing needs to start and then they need to start making money back because they need to put ads out and everything like that to sell it. But they really should not be trying to sell a product that isn't finished yet. Or it should be the game. I think when they should announce a game, the game should be
80% done.
Oh, it should be 90% done.
Yeah.
And then it should be like 6 months.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of time to finish it. That's why and I think we've been better about it, but in recent past, like 2015, and actually I should all the time really.
Yeah.
There's been half finished, half baked games.
Yeah.
Because now there's day one patches.
No Man's Sky.
Best
example, Destiny.
Half finished.
Fucking any Life as a Service game. Anthem still unfinished.
Abandoned.
Yeah, abandoned.
That was they lost cause because they did not have enough time to finish it because just expectations, dates, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So but one of the best examples I like is how they handled Fallout 4.
Okay.
Which is like the gold standard for anything right now for me anyway. Mm-hmm. Is they announced that game. The game was pretty much done, I guess. They announced the game in I think July or August or something like that at E3. And they said the game will be done in like October. It's like the game's releasing in October. It was like 2 months.
Yeah, but they already had it done.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it should be. It just take your time developing, don't announce
but
it.
I guess,
but they need to make money, I guess.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. It's like if you're a big enough studio, I think you can get away with doing something like that because your name alone, that title. So if it was a Skyrim 2, Fallout 4, if it
people are gonna buy it.
If it's a new IP, they have to market it a long time before. Yeah. They have to announce it before, generate hype, get those pre-order sales, all that crap. If it's a household name, they can easily do like if they announce GTA 6 right now, they could be like GTA 6.
Comes out in December.
They could be like, it comes out in a fucking week and people would
lose their shit
and then go buy it.
Yeah.
But because they don't need to reach out to general audience because they already have a general audience.
Yeah, they already have a market to land in. And so like, that's kind of like, I mean, same thing with like the Marvel movies. Like we know that Phase 5 is going to come up in February of 2023.
Yeah.
Right. For like the next Marvel movie, I think drops in February 2023 from the timeline. So like we know that at some point in that month, there's going to be a new movie, but I would be surprised if that movie is even 30% done.
I don't think they can even delay those movies because they have to release 5 movies because they're trying to make a build up.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to have a movie release at least every other month.
Yeah. But you couldn't have a movie get delayed and then have another movie move up forward because now they're going to get mixed up.
The timeline is fucked up.
Yeah, they can't. So I think that also adds another whole entire layer of crunch to it.
So you're like, if you delay one movie, you have to delay pretty much all your movies.
Yeah,
which is a huge budget sink. So it's like, I don't know. And when they spend $60 million on marketing, it's not gonna fly.
Yeah,
not gonna do it. So I do think that like Marvel is a big creator of this problem, but the problem has been around in the industry forever. It's crunch. When you mix art with business, that kind of thing just happens because business decisions are made on like what's more efficient, and artistic decisions are made on like what's feasible to do at the moment with the things that you have.
Yeah,
and that dissonance will always create a bad environment.
And before you guys come at us about like overtime as a completely normal thing for like jobs and everything,
it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Sorry.
Well, I mean, come on now. If someone wants to do overtime because they want, the money, that's fine.
But okay. Would you do overtime if you got paid enough money to afford everything that you have without working overtime?
But like if you needed extra cash or something like that, you could do overtime, and that's perfectly fine if you want to do overtime.
Shouldn't be expected of you.
But like crunch is a whole different beast.
Yeah.
That's not overtime. That's like that is your boss is standing over you and you have to finish something really quickly that you can't finish really quickly.
Right.
That's crunch.
And so quality suffers, employees' quality of life suffers. It's just bad.
The quality also is just like you half-ass it and they're like, okay, it's done.
Yeah.
We'll fix it. We'll fix it once we release it.
Right.
Because those are day one patches or something like that. I think they've done that there was a movie that came out a long time ago, I think.
They're re-editing Stranger Things.
Yeah, there was it wasn't Stranger Things, but there was a re-edit of a movie. They released a new updated, I forget what movie it was.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but day one released it was Cats. It was Cats. They released the movie in theaters and people were like, what the fuck is this? And then there was like 2 weeks later, come on, fix the models. And then they send out a new hard drive and then the original cut is lost forever.
That's insane. That's such an insane thing to do. Anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to preference that. But moving on, Instagram changing up apparently.
So this is a thing. I don't know if you saw my tweet about it.
I did see. Yeah.
Because Meta will keep Instagram alive, and this is another example of like a big corporation like kind of not understanding what people want, in my opinion. Because Instagram used to be photos.
Yeah,
like photographers build that platform.
Isn't it like Insta Photograph or something like that?
It's like the whole shtick was based off a goddamn Polaroid.
I mean, their icon is a camera.
Yeah, it's a fucking Polaroid. Not only a camera, it's a goddamn Polaroid.
Yeah.
Their whole platform was built on photography, and photographers built that platform. They made it successful enough that Facebook bought it, and then Facebook is now trying to keep it alive. But now TikTok became so popular that now Instagram is chasing that trend and switching to more video content.
This brings up a whole little conversation of its own. It's just like how Twitter and YouTube and Snapchat and Instagram, they're all kind of just stealing from TikTok. Other, yeah, they just keep making one or in like Periscope, if you remember that.
God damn.
There was so many like little studios that had like really niche and really great ideas. They grow a little bit, and then either they get bought up like Periscope did, or they get bought up and then absorbed into a bigger app.
Yeah.
Or it gets, I think Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
Or Twitter.
I think it was Twitter. Yeah,
I remember you could Periscope on Twitter.
Yeah.
It was something like that. I can't remember who bought, because
that's
such an old thing, and I don't think people even remember Periscope.
Yeah. But anyway, like you come up with like Instagram stories.
Instagram stories.
Yeah.
That was a Snapchat thing.
That was an Instagram thing originally.
No.
Was it Snapchat?
It was Snapchat. That's exactly what I mean. People even just forget that it was Snapchat invented stories.
Yeah, now Snapchat is like fucking bottom.
But then everyone started stealing that one. It's insane to me that they're just like, we'll just copy and paste what you guys made and then put it on our app.
They're becoming homogenous. They're kind of like like Facebook and Instagram are kind of the same app.
Yeah.
Like they're turning into the same app.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just presented differently.
They just kind of every new update, they come a little bit more twin-like.
Yeah, and I hate that. But like the thing that really annoys me about the Instagram situation is that like photographers built your platform. For such a long time, that platform was great for photographers. They got a following. People kept up with them. They could buy their artwork. Like
other than
photos.
Other than TikTok, what has changed about like what? Has it like went down, or do not people?
Instagram?
Is it more just like the time with the times? It's easier to create videos.
No, it's just.
Or is it like everyone's? There's a really good video camera in your pocket at all times.
That's part of it. That's definitely part of it. Because when Instagram came out, you had the iPhones, which didn't have particularly great cameras, and you didn't even have a desktop version of Instagram. But as like content creation grows in quality, you it's always about keeping people engaged and keeping people in your app constantly.
Yeah.
And so like TikTok does that extremely well, because TikTok just overstimulates you to the point where you turn your brain off and you're just scrolling.
Yeah.
You're just fucking doing that.
It's Vine. It's Vine 2.0.
But Vine had a limitation to it. Vine had
6 seconds.
It was 6 seconds, but because of the culture of Vine, you could only watch like 10 or 15 of them before you really were like, I'm done with Vine. And like the Vine didn't have an infinite scrolling interface.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. Because I remember when I first downloaded TikTok, my brain was about to explode because it was such a sensory overload with them constantly like showing me a new video. I think that I turned something off in the settings, but it was like when the video finished, it would just switch to the next video. Oh, now, if the video finished, it just loops.
Yeah.
Which
when I first started TikTok, I think I had that thing where it would just be like, it was automatically switch. But it just TikTok is so good at overstimulating you and keeping you on watch time. And so like that's how TikTok makes a lot of money, because that's how advertisers make a lot of money. The more time people spend on your platform, the more likely they are to watch an ad. The more value that company that paid for the ad gets out of the app, the more money they make. So TikTok is incentivizing you to keep watching their stuff. And TikTok cracked it. The infinite scrolling mechanism is the perfect way to like get people to turn their fucking brains off and like scroll for hours.
Yeah.
Because it's a dopamine hit, and every time you hit something funny, it's like it's something funny, and then just keep going. Instagram doesn't have that. Instagram, it's a feed-based system, right? So you only get on your feed what people update.
Now, actually, it's
not as of recently.
Yeah.
Not as of recently, but when Instagram first started, if I followed you, just you.
Yeah, I would
only get your content.
Yeah.
So that staying power isn't there because it was a social media app instead of like a video platform.
There was no like searching. So like I think at some point Instagram introduced like searching, and it would be like a combination between of your likes and people who you follow likes, and it would just put a 3-page or 3-row box down, and then you could just randomly see like random posts.
Right. But that was like separate from...
Yeah, it was separate from your main feed.
From your feed.
And then I think they realized they got a lot of data from that, and more people spent time in that random feed than they did on their actual like people who they follow feed.
Yeah. And it's challenging because when Facebook first started too, it was just a way to keep in touch with your friends. You know, like when Facebook, after the whole university thing, Facebook was just a way to keep in touch with your friends. So it was like feed-based. It was like a journal entry for people. So like there was no advertisement, there was none of that. But now when advertisers get into the picture, that's when the video platform.
Yeah.
It doesn't taint it. It doesn't necessarily taint it.
When there's money to be made,
they're just going to exploit the user base.
Yeah.
That's it. And so Instagram making the choice to go to video, in my opinion, is...
Well, why would you say like Instagram is going to make like video? They went and stole pretty much TikTok's format. And what is it on Instagram?
They call it a reel.
They call it, and so Instagram Reels is literally just TikTok.
And it's literally videos from TikTok on Reel all the time.
This is the joke.
Yeah.
Because it's like real people who watch Reels is like a week old Vine or a week old TikTok. Yeah. And they're like, I even seen TikToks where someone's like, yo, check this video out, dude. And it's like, dude, I already saw that. Like, I already saw that. I saw that on TikTok last week, man.
Yeah. It's like TikTok makes it funny. Instagram steals it from TikTok a week later. Then Twitter steals it from Instagram a week later. And then Facebook steals it from Twitter.
Instagram's always been stealing stuff from like Twitter. Yeah. There's always
like 600 screen caps of Twitter.
Yeah. It's like because Twitter is still like just because Twitter, it's still the Wild West out there.
Yeah. Twitter is a feed based. It's true that the algorithm is like more or less of the people you follow and like it's randomly introducing you to people all the time. But there's some linkage there to your feed on Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, like you can still follow the people that you follow on Twitter.
And so you get a good mix.
Yeah.
That is like, I guess, golden standard.
Twitter is the Wild West of fucking social
media. Dude, if you were back on Twitter back in 2015, 2016, dude, good Lord.
Dude.
Was that an evil place?
Remember when
Twitter, actually, I should say.
Twitter when you like, texted me one time. It's like, Bryan, you have to stop liking shit on Twitter. I can't open my Twitter. I had to block you.
Yeah,
I
had to block you. I was like, Bryan, I have to. The mute button was a beautiful.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful feature, and I think they should add that for everything. It's like I don't want to blocked my friend, but I need to stop seeing
He's tweeting too
all
much
his
porn.
Well, it's like just like I shouldn't be seeing your likes. I think when they started adding, so Twitter has this thing where if you like a bunch of stuff,
it shows up in
occasionally that will show up in someone else's feed of like, oh, he liked this. It's like, but not like, yeah, it was like, yeah, and it was trying to just introduce you to like other random content.
Yeah.
Sometimes like those should stay hidden, which I guess that's also why there's a bookmark feature now, which is like no one can see your bookmarks, which is
thank God.
Yeah. But these are all kind of just been randomly re-added and everything. Even Twitter though had Twitter stories or something like that. There was a month where Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everyone had a story mode.
Yep. And then they
but Twitter was smart enough to get rid of it.
Get the shit out of here.
I think there was a lot of like
there was a lot of backlash.
A lot of stuff was going on.
A lot of backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think Instagram switching to the video platform is like a stupid idea. It's dumb. It spits in the face of photographers who now have to find.
So what does that
platform.
mean? Did you read anything on? I haven't read anything on like what does that mean?
As far as I understand, they literally are going to do more of the TikTok format.
So just into your main feed.
Into your main feed. So when you open Instagram, you really like you start seeing the change right now. Is you open Instagram and like there is a random advert for some lady.
Yeah.
You know, some shop. There's some photos in there, but then inevitably you're gonna find like people that are doing like this shit, which is just like
they're just
a video playing.
They're just taking their TikToks and then uploading them to Reels.
Right, but then but Instagram used to be a square. Now it takes up 60% of your screen or 70% of your screen, and then like these videos take up 100% of your screen.
Oh, you're right. Holy shit, I didn't even notice
that. And then
so
like 100% of your screen.
Oh my God!
4:5 aspect ratio.
So they're making it where when you're scrolling, you're going to see a video longer than you're actually going to see a photo.
Yeah. So
holy crap!
The videos take up more real estate on the screen, which means you're likely to watch more videos, which means that they have the better chance to stick advertisements before the videos. And so with
advertisement gets probably 100%.
And then like you're going to watch and like YouTube, you can like if you want to watch YouTube, sometimes you have to fucking sit through a 30-second ad. And
dude, if I'm going through like TikTok or something and I see anywhere where it has like hashtag ad, that was actually
I don't mind hashtag ad. I hate sponsored. If it says sponsored at the bottom, those are the ones that piss me off. But hashtag ad is like a paid partnership.
If I see anything, if that preference is if I see hashtag ad or anything sponsored or anything like that, it's an immediate skip. It's a hard. And sometimes they get me though. Sometimes they preference in a way where I can't tell at first, and then I'm like halfway through an ad, and I'm like, oh crap, what is this? This is an ad. What the heck?
Yeah, no, it's awful, and I think it's such a dumb idea because like now photographers need to find another place to like showcase their work, and like Instagram really helped create that culture. Of like online photography media.
Dude, it's probably made so many jobs for people.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. And now it's gone. Now it's gone because they want to be more like TikTok.
And this is what's going to happen. So it's going to get so bad at some point where it's just going to go straight down the drain. And then there's going to be someone's going to take the essence of that. Mm-hmm. They're going to create a new app. And then it's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah. And then the same thing's going to happen to it.
Because you water it down with ads and then which I wonder what happened because that didn't happen to Facebook, did it? People just kind of
Facebook. Well, Facebook got flooded with.
Or not Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook. MySpace.
MySpace got bought out by a music company. Tom sold it before it had the chance to get ruined.
I guess he
sold it for a shit ton of money. He sold it really smart.
Yeah,
because he saw it on the decline, and then he was like, "All right, who wants to buy this?" The moment it was like making less money,
what a
like,
Chad move.
Yeah, it's fucking hard. Now dude's just painting, hanging out.
There was he's on Twitter and he's like Tom from Facebook and he's like
so it's pretty Instagram it's dumb and the Instagram decision is stupid. I think it spits in the face of the content creators that build the platform, and this is the thing that happens where these companies build a platform with a specific audience. Like think OnlyFans, for example, builds a platform with like adult performers and then threatens to kick them out, and then obviously that didn't work because that's like 90% of your fucking platform. For OnlyFans, but like
because who's ever like I need to go see like Markiplier's new gameplay on OnlyFans.
So no one's ever going to do that. So like they backed away from that, but it's the same concept. It's like Instagram built their platforms on photographers, and now they're changing up the entire business model.
Yeah.
And then those photographers need to find another home to exist in or adapt. And now they're video content creators.
Is this the rise of Tumblr again?
I hope so. I miss Tumblr.
I never got into Tumblr.
Yeah, it was good. I ran a porn blog on Tumblr. I was a very porn heavy guy in the early 2000s.
That's good to know, Bryan.
Yeah.
Early 2000, 2001, 2000.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about Instagram. I think it's stupid. I think it's a bad decision.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just if you've been around long enough, I mean, this is kind of, we're still in the early concepts of like stuff like this, but I've been around to watch kind of like the rise and fall of kind of like apps like this.
Yeah.
And I've definitely watch Facebook fall hard.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not even Facebook anymore. They're Meta.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me.
Facebook.
Because they're legal dodging, which is hilarious that they changed their name to dodge to
dodge taxes, I think. That's what it was.
Taxes or lawsuits
No,
or
it was lawsuits. Yeah, it was lawsuits.
It's a lawsuit.
You can't sue something that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, or like you can't take money from Facebook. It has no money.
Yeah.
All the money's in Meta now.
Yeah. Also, did you hear? We haven't really talked about gear, and I don't know if we'll have enough time to talk about have the conversation of gear that we wanted to talk about.
I know we've kind of completely disregarded this. We'll probably just title it or something.
But fucking Facebook is losing. They lost $2.2 billion trying to make the metaverse happen in the last year.
I do not.
I don't give a shit. I don't want the metaverse. It
bothers me to just the next level that Meta. They're just trying to create. They have the power to actually make something good, and they just make the characters look like dog shit. Like it bothers me up a wall. It drives me up a wall.
Yeah.
Just because look at what is it, VR chat?
Yeah.
Look at that.
VR
that should be like the blueprint for them. Like make VR chat, but make it a lot better.
Yeah.
But no, they squandered it. They wanted to make everything look like a cartoon character. No one wants to. People want to be anime characters, okay? I don't want to say it out loud, but people just want to be like random Kermit the Frog and then like
fucking
Haiku Miku, okay? Like that's it.
Haiku Miku. That's so fucking funny. I agree. Yeah, I think Facebook is making a lot of like stupid choices. I think 10 years.
I guess that.
But they've made so much money they can just sustain themselves for fucking ages before we see them falling.
I think it's also insane that like the Oculus is like. You just have to have a Facebook account to.
Yeah.
So but if you want to get in the metaverse, you have to like have a Facebook account.
Did you know that the Oculus Quest is like $300, but if you want it with the ability to use it without logging into Facebook account, it's $700.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
They sell a business solution for it. Right?
Holy shit!
That's what they call it.
That's capitalism really popped off today, ladies.
I love that TikTok sound. So yeah, I think TikTok like sneaking into culture and like being such a titan has like really fucked up the environment because everyone wants to imitate the thing that's working.
What's the name of this? Attack on Titan. Because we've done nothing. We talk about the establishment. we've done nothing but talk about these conglomerates. We're gonna throw McDonald's in there somewhere.
So yeah, it's kind of dire. It feels dire in the ecosystem because like the small guys, like independent studios, have such a harder time to compete. They kind of exist in their own market versus like AAA studios now. So there's like a big differentiation. And the same thing kind of happened with like movies and the same thing is kind of happening with social media. I feel like people will always navigate to the app that they feel like they can be themselves the most. And right now I think that's Twitter. And I think if Twitter keeps leaning into that.
But Twitter, what makes Twitter special is because it was a niche. When it was kind of first on the scene, no one used Twitter. News outlets did not use Twitter. Right. You couldn't go, it was only just like people being the most unhinged. Let me tell you, Twitter used to be.
I've seen more dicks on Twitter than I've seen on porn.
But even before like the porn hit Twitter, and because there was no limits, and that's why it shifted over there. Well, when Tumblr took away porn for people, that they also shifted to Twitter, which is a whole other thing. But Twitter used to be a mean place. People would let let them bullets fly, man. They would unsheath them swords.
Bully each other.
Oh my God. Dude, Twitter used to be evil. It used to be an evil place. And now you can go see like what happened in like Syria or like what's going the war in Ukraine and stuff like that. Like that's what you go to Twitter for now.
Right.
Or news updates or whatever. Or like movie update, whatever like that. But it's just so funny that it's like this like huge thing was built off the backs of people just calling each other the F word.
Yeah,
like on a daily.
Yeah.
Or just racial slurs, crazy racial slurs. It used to be it's crazy that I just like I've literally I was old enough to watch it change from being on it from 2012 to 2022 now.
That's wild. The big shift was 2016, man.
2016 was the reckoning,
That's the reckoning of Twitter. I think it's so interesting to me to see social media and like big platforms sort of become soulless. Because Twitter still has a soul. You know, Twitter still has something to it. But Instagram feels pretty soulless. It's people trying to sell, ourselves included. Like we're on Instagram. I only use Instagram to promote the podcast.
Because it's just a marketing platform.
Yeah, it's a marketing platform.
We are a problem. We are sitting there trying to sell ourselves.
Yeah. So it's like, it happens.
But it's nice though. Sometimes because sometimes people will like, I'm looking, to find something.
Yeah. Sometimes you can make a really genuine connection.
Yeah. But that's hard. That's very hard to do now.
Yeah.
But when someone's trying to sell paper towels right above you and you're just trying to promote your content with somebody. This could also be another topic entirely by itself, but just trying to like, the overweight bearing of like content creators, overbearing weight of content creators nowadays. It's so easy to create content.
Yeah,
that it's very hard to like actually find a general. It's not about trying to be the biggest on top anymore. Mm-hmm. It's all about
finding your audience.
It's just finding your audience. It's finding 5 people that will like you versus 10,000 people that you're like, I'll put you on or whatever.
It's an interesting shift. I think we got to wrap it up. But to wrap it up,
so I got this camera here. No, I'm kidding. We're gonna talk about gear and stuff, and then we completely had another whole topic and then
conversation in there.
But I think
Give me that camera.
Oh, you want to go the Sony Alpha 6500. Or 6400. Is that the 64?
Oh, you got a little small rig for it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, a little hot shoe mount because
that's where you mount.
What makes it great is because the screen will flip up.
Yeah.
And then, but the camera hot shoe is right in the middle way. So I just bought a little tiny small rig, moves the hot shoe over for me.
That's awesome. I like it. I love film gear. Let's talk about gear in another episode actually because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, we should. We should totally do a gear podcast like we said we were going to this one. But there was too much going on in the news.
There was too much going on. And I think that the to wrap it all up, I think is the industry itself needs to unionize. That's really it. Like the film industry needs to develop unions to protect workers. Kind of like it's happening in the game industry, but I think it needs to happen a little bit more aggressively in the film industry to prevent from being taken advantage of in that regards. That's it. That's
I don't think. I don't know. I'm trying to think who has it worse, like the game or the movie industry.
They're both.
I just know more on the game side, but
the game development news are.
But I think
the outlet. That's what it's being reported is the game development,
right?
But it's happening in the film industry just as bad.
I think it just really it kind of boils down to they need to unionize or something like that, but there needs to be protections put in place for them. Mm-hmm. But I think people just need to be very educated on it. Yeah. I think a lot of people just don't understand unless you go into that field, which when, people go into content creation, they kind of start to unravel it. I mean, you started editing your YouTube video and you're like, damn, this is a long time. And I had to, I'm trying to get like 4 videos uploaded a week and that's just not possible.
Yeah, no, you have to spend like 24 hours.
Or people going to Twitch and like
streaming for 5 hours at a time. Yeah, no, it takes a lot of time. It's hard work. Content creation ain't easy, baby. At any level.
So I hope we didn't tuck your ear off, and I hope you guys made it to the end of the podcast, because if you did,
shout out to you.
Thank you, and I want to give you a big kiss on the forehead.
Yeah, that's big. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us this episode. We will see you hopefully next week.
Can't wait for Discord to start getting ads.
Oh, that's gonna
suck. I can't wait for Discord to get ruined too. Yeah.
Anyway, join us on the Discord. Link down, everything below. And then again, just as a reminder, we're going to be at Queen City Anime Con.
Yes.
On Sunday, August 7th at 2:30 p.m.
I meant to do this at the very beginning of the podcast. But if you guys are watching this podcast, the day it releases should be Tuesday. This Sunday, we'll be doing a live panel at Queen City Anime Con here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if you guys are in the area and you guys want to come meet us, or just if you're a fan of the podcast and you're nearby, come on down. Or if you're from LA, fly on over. I don't care. Fly on over. Come on. Come hang out.
We'll hold your hand. We'll hang out.
I'd love to actually meet some people. Yeah. Because I know we don't have a lot of viewership, but I really
enough. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I still want to meet you guys. Like it still means the world to me that people actually watch our content and stuff like that. Because sometimes it's like hard because you don't directly see someone, even though that they're there and they're watching your videos every single week.
You get a little deflated.
But like, I mean, last year it made my spirit soar getting to do it last year. So guys, come down. I'll be there. Me and Bryan will be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then Sunday we'll be doing our live panel at 2:30. I forget the room it is, but there's
the governor room.
The governor room. Yeah. Okay, so 2:30. Make sure you guys come down Sunday. But if you guys just want to hang out with us or come say hi throughout the weekend, we'll definitely be there. So just let us know. All right, guys. Thank you so much. If you guys like this video, give us a like. If you dislike, give us a dislike. And then meet us down in the comments. What do you guys think about the whole situation between Instagram and then what's your guys' take? Situation. Are you guys content creators? I'd like to hear you guys' response in the comments for all that stuff too. But thank you so much for coming down, and we'll see you all next week.
See you later.
Bye.